The man collapsed in the middle of the crowded street, his leather vest marked with a skull and wings, his breath already fading while dozens of people stood frozen in a silent circle. Everyone watched a dying man. Some stepped back, some filmed. No one moved closer, and just as his eyes began to lose focus, one woman pushed through the crowd, knowing exactly who he was, and what helping him might cost her. What she did next would change more lives than anyone there could imagine. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in ordinary people doing extraordinary things, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel, Only Kindness. Your support helps stories like this reach the hearts that need them most. The woman's name was Maren Hale, and she had never planned to be brave that day. She was on her way home from a double shift at a nursing facility, her feet aching, her mind fogged by exhaustion. The street was loud with traffic and voices, but something about the sudden stillness pulled her attention forward. A large man lay on the asphalt, his motorcycle tipped nearby like a fallen animal, the unmistakable patch on his back drawing whispers and fear. People recognized the symbol. They always did. Hell's Angel. Dangerous. Not worth the risk. The air felt heavy with judgment, as if the crowd had already decided his fate. Maren felt her chest tighten as she moved closer. She had seen this look before, not on bikers, but on elderly patients gasping for air when seconds mattered. She saw the blue tint creeping into his lips, the shallow rise of his chest. Someone muttered that help was on the way, but no one knelt beside him. No one checked his pulse. No one cared that every moment without oxygen was stealing his chance to survive. Fear kept them still. Fear in the stories they told themselves about men like him. She hesitated only once. Helping him meant touching him, being seen, being associated with someone the world had already labeled as violent. It meant risking her safety, her reputation, maybe worse. She imagined the headlines, the whispers, the blame if something went wrong. But then she saw his hand twitch weakly against the pavement, and something inside her hardened into resolve. He was not a symbol. He was a human being dying in front of her. Maren dropped to her knees, ignoring the murmurs behind her. She placed her hands where she had been trained to place them, clearing his airway, checking his breathing. It was faint, irregular, frighteningly shallow. She worked quickly, tearing open the front of his vest for better access, feeling the weight of eyes boring into her back. Her heart pounded, not from fear of the man, but from the pressure of knowing she might be the only thing standing between him and death. The minutes stretched like hours. Sirens were still distant, and the man's body felt impossibly heavy, as if life itself was slipping through her fingers. Maren focused on the basics, on rhythm, on calm. She blocked out the crowd, the phones held high, the people who shook their heads as if she were foolish. Sweat ran down her temples. Her arms trembled, but she did not stop. Slowly, painfully, the man's breathing steadied just enough to keep him alive. A cough rattled from deep in his chest, weak but real. It felt like a miracle carved out of sheer will. When the paramedics finally arrived, they moved fast, lifting him onto a stretcher, hooking him to machines that beeped with fragile promise. One of them looked at Maren with quiet respect and said she had done the right thing. It was the first time that day anyone said it out loud. As the ambulance doors closed, something else happened. The crowd began to thin, but the street did not return to normal. Engines roared in the distance, low and thunderous, growing closer. Motorcycles filled the road, one after another, until the air vibrated with their presence. Men and women dismounted, faces hard, eyes searching. They had come for their brother. And they saw Maren standing there, hands still shaking, stained with sweat and grime. She braced herself for anger, for questions she did not know how to answer. Instead, she saw something unexpected. Gratitude. Raw and unguarded. They had been told who stepped in when no one else would. They had been told who refused to let him die alone on the street. In that moment, Maren understood the weight of what she had done. Saving one life had tied her forever to many others. In the days that followed, the story spread. Not the story of a feared biker collapsing, but the story of a woman who saw past the patch and chose humanity. The man survived. His name was Cole Riven. He sent word from his hospital bed, not with speeches or excuses, but with simple thanks. He had lived a hard life, carried scars inside and out, and he knew most people would have walked away. Maren had not. Her life changed quietly but completely. Acts of kindness came back to her in unexpected ways. Repairs she could not afford were handled without explanation. Groceries appeared on her porch. A sense of protection followed her through streets that once felt indifferent. It was not payment, it was respect. Before we reach the end of this story, take a moment to comment below and tell us what you would have done if you were standing in that crowd. Your words matter, and we read every one. Marin never called herself a hero. She said she only did what anyone should. But the truth was harder and more beautiful. She chose courage when fear was easier. She chose compassion when judgment was louder. She reminded a watching world that kindness does not ask who you are or what you wear on your back. It only asks whether you are willing to step forward when it matters most.